All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Welcome to Mr. Deadman. They say talk about what you know. Well, Rekieta is talking about what he knows for sure. It's about what's going up his nose for sure. Let's go to press this play button and see what he says here about well, we'll just call them party favors for terms of service.
Emotional support, Chad. I love that. Okay. I'm going to remind me to tell you a drug dealer story in a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm sure he has lots of them, and that's not sarcasm. That he has lots of them. I will say this: if there's one thing I can trust Rekieta on, it is in the business of party favors. Okay, is that a good thing? All right.
Remind me to tell you a drug dealer story. Whatever anybody thinks about drug dealers or whatever is probably right. But my drug dealer was really funny.
And by the way, I like how he's wearing shades indoors, really copying my look, but I don't know why he's wearing safety glasses, though. I don't know what he's worried about. Okay? I mean, they look like safety glasses, right? I mean, what is going on here? I like how now he's wearing a suit. I don't think I've ever really seen him wear a suit. Now that he's not a practicing attorney, he's wearing a suit now. Oh, very interesting. Okay.
Super nice. And like I just enjoyed hanging around them, whether drugs were involved or not, because they're funny. It's a question about the ethnicity of my drug dealer, which I will not comment on specifically, but let me say,
Why not?
let me say this. Like, I wasn't going to the guy who's on the street corner or handing out like bags at the club or whatever. Like the person I went to was like a regional manager, so to speak.
Right? He was going to the top boss of party favor distribution. I don't know if this is something he really ought to be bragging about, seeing how he had, I don't know, just recently got out of the whole like CPS, the state being up his butt about these things. You know, it's sort of weird. It's kind of like he's putting it out there, bragging about it, and I'm not going to do it. And I would say don't do this, but concerned Karens may want to be like, well, I mean, is he still doing this stuff with the kids in the house? And they may take measures to, get people involved. I say don't do that, but what you guys do is up to you. But I don't think it's something he ought to be bragging about. It's odd like that, right? I mean, it wasn't too long ago where he got busted for having a lot of Snow White in his house. Okay? It wasn't too long ago where his own daughter tested positive for that stuff. But here we are. He's bragging about it.
Right. They got materials in and typically, send out larger amounts to other people type thing.
Okay.
So I, tended to get very, very fresh, very clean stuff, which I then still subsequently tested. Junie, but how does one approach the dude on the corner and say, I want to see your boss? Never spoke to the dude on the corner. That was never a thing. Literally just, you meet people, and then when they find out you're into something or interested in something,
I'm sorry, I can't get over the fact how red his nose is still to this day. Like it is blinding me. I mean, some of you guys are wondering why I wear sunglasses indoors. It's because of times like this. It is blinding. Ah! It's too much, right? It is so bright, so red.
I know your connections have connections, and that's that. It's not that complicated. Yeah, we don't need to get too much into this.
We don't need to.
It's not, it's
but you
not
will.
anybody's business. It was never part of any
Nobody's business, but I will go ahead and make it your business. That's great.
Court stuff that I was involved in, and that's
Uh-huh.
that's for the better. Oh, Mongoose Dog is in here again. He's very, very happy to speculate on things that he doesn't really know about, but that's fine. It says your local Home Depot is a supplier. Yes, actually, of meth. If you want to go to the local Home Depot, you can probably find meth. I found out in recovery that there are meth dealers all over this fucking town, like in pretty much every major retail store. I don't know any of them. I never did meth. It's gross.
Yeah, that stuff is everywhere. I'm surprised you haven't done it.
You did meth for a short time when you were younger, but I love my teeth more. That's one of the things, man. Meth has so many like severe immediate physical or not immediate, but like physical consequences with chronic use.
Well, look at your nose, man. It looks like it's gonna rot off, dude. what about Snow White? Well, when you keep on tasting her, when you keep on snorting her, dude, it doesn't do great things for you, right? It fries your brain, destroys your nose.
Loss of bone density and really the degrading teeth, and meth mouth in general is an obvious one. And that's one that I don't get around. I met plenty of guys that had meth problems.
I'm sure.
While I was doing recovery, most of the people around here are on meth.
Well, yeah, it's everywhere.
Most of the drug use around here is meth. I should probably say it that way. That's better. So you've got a big meth problem, because it's a relatively not rich county that I live in. The county is it's less than 50,000 people total, and the median income is like 42 grand a year. Mm-hmm. And there's not a bunch of spare money to throw around on shit like cocaine, I guess. Although I don't know how much meth costs by volume. I've never even seen meth in person, thank God.
If he had, would he be able to resist? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section.
So I don't know comparatively. To me, cocaine was less expensive than I expected based on what people said. They're like, oh, it's so expensive or whatever. And it's always portrayed as very expensive.
But you're also loaded. I mean, you were loaded with crazy money. I don't know if you're loaded now with crazy money. I mean, I'm not sure. But, dude, I mean, the Rekieta was getting super chats like crazy. He was the top law YouTuber guy.
Expensive. And all the county workers that were involved, like they basically said coke's too expensive to get out here.
Do you think he got to pay or anything for being featured in the Netflix documentary? You think they gave him a check? They would kind of have to, right?
That I have no idea what the comparative cost is per, like, you can't really just compare volume directly because drugs don't work that way, but like cost per high, maybe, I don't know. David Odell says, no, it's boring ass rural Minnesota. It's the cheap highs that will be sought. Well, I mean, it's the cheap highs that people can afford is one of the big things.
Like Galaxy gas.
Yeah, don't do meth. It's disgusting. Judge Maddie says Provigil is just less potent meth. No, you're thinking of Adderall. Adderall is an amphetamine. Meth is also an amphetamine, but they are chemically very distinct. Adderall doesn't produce the meth.
By the way, once again, if there's one subject I trust Rekieta on, it would be this. He would probably know. Okay.
Those types of side effects that meth does. That's a pretty big distinction between them. But they are both amphetamines. But there are other methyl-based drugs like Ritalin, right? Is methylphenidate, for example, and that's not an amphetamine because it's not methamphetamine, but it's similar. in part of its chemical structure. But here's the thing: whoever said,
Were you guys ever on Ritalin as a kid? I was. I was diagnosed with ADD, not ADHD, but ADD. I was never really hyper. As you can see in my reactions, right? You guys are always like, low energy. You got to be more hyper. You got to be more hyper. You got to be more energetic. Okay. All right. But Ritalin was on that stuff. It would make me shaky. It's kind of a weird feeling. So I quickly stopped taking it. I didn't like it at all. Apparently, if I was smart, I could have been selling it at school for money. I found out about that afterwards. It's like, dang, I missed an opportunity to be a criminal and make money. Dang. So I ended up stealing my dad. Well, I guess you can say stealing. Yeah. Stealing my dad's corn stash and selling that at school.
that they never had, it was Nomadic Washington. I never had fun on Coke. I don't know. It really depends. If you have ADHD or other neurological conditions, they really impact how some of these things work. So it's kind of a mixed bag on how they're going to hit. The best bet is not to do them. There are other ways to do to get.
Don't do the party favors, guys.
An analogous experience. Drugs are a shortcut to those things, and those shortcuts come with costs, and they can really fuck up your brain chemistry.
Like your family? Like you are lucky that things didn't get worse.
Long term. So don't do them. Again, that's what I have to say. Diamonds and Henna says, I thought Provigil was rich man's Adderall. No, Provigil is a completely different thing. It is not a stimulant in the same way that Ritalin or Adderall are. Provigil works on, I don't remember exactly how to explain it, but it works on slightly different neurotransmitters. I want to say it's a dopamine inhibitor, reuptake inhibitor. Was that?
Can't really comment on that. I don't know what
it's been a minute since I read about
is.
How it works. But Provigil.
My knowledge on drugs is very limited. Marijuana, shrooms. There's a thing called acid. I've never done it. People say it's fun. Never even seen cocaine. Wouldn't want to.
Is a pretty amazing. It's a pretty amazing compound, really, when you think about it. It was developed by the government. It was developed for bomber pilots and espionage agents, so they could be very effective while staying up for many, many hours in a row. I think they came to the conclusion that with a regimen of 600 milligrams of Adderall, or not Adderall, Provigil per day. Bomber pilots could fly 66 hours and still be something like 85 to 90% effective. Which
holy shit,
which is really crazy when you think about it.
Yeah,
the RAS, it's here. It's Provigil.
What happens after that? All that use.
VIGIL. The generic non-brand name version of it is modafinil. Either one of those.
So the U.S. military was. They used Provigil to help them while the Germans were using meth. Okay.
You can look it up and find the neurological effect that it has. But it's just different. It's different than Coke, and it's different than Ritalin, is different than meth, and is different than Adderall as well. In that Provigil doesn't spike you up like those things. Those things hit much faster. Provigil is a much longer effect. It's much more subtle, and it's much more gradual, like going up a hill. Slowly, as opposed to going upstairs and then falling off a cliff.
Okay.
Like some of those other things. So,
but you didn't like that.
It lasts like 12 hours, and the effect.
You want to just party.
The effect when you need it, and this is one of the things that's hard for me to explain to people. In fact, I was famously trying to talk to someone about how these things work on different brains, and they.
He's talking about But he was telling Aaron Imholte. Yeah.
Twisted that story into something that it was not. But
Uh-huh.
for example, like if you have ADHD,
He talks about
and,
this for
and
like
you're taking
30
a
minutes.
stimulant, the problem with
37
ADHD is you get
minutes of
overwhelmed by
Rekieta
sensory input
party favor
or
talk.
responses to stimuli, and your brain
This guy
can't
used
keep
to
up
deny
with what's
using.
going on. So the stimulant actually stimulates your brain function,
Yeah.
allowing it to kind of wind up. It's like,
Is this like his public
revving up
service
the engine,
announcement?
so to speak. And then you're able to keep up with what's going on around you. You're able to keep up with those sensory inputs that are happening. And that is why someone with ADHD, when they are on a stimulant, doesn't have, like, they don't get crazy jittery. They don't get like super manic. They don't get those experiences because it's just bringing them up to kind of the normal baseline level where other people are operating.
Okay.
And the same thing with having narcolepsy and something like Provigil. Like, if I'm not on Provigil, I'm tired all the time. I'm tired.
This is Rekieta's TED Talk right here. I mean, he's dressed like he's giving a TED Talk right here. He's dressed like one of those like pompous millionaires you just want to punch in the face, you know? Yeah.
When I go to bed, I'm tired when I wake up. I'm tired constantly.
I think he's trying to go for the Robert Downey Jr. look
throughout the day. And once Provigil kicks in, I'm awake normally. Like it's your normal experience. It brings your brain up to par.
Yeah.
I guess is the way to put it. And so, like,
that's what they
people
say.
who don't have the underlying neurological condition like ADHD or narcolepsy, and there's some other ones, sometimes anxiety, for example, but people who don't have those underlying conditions, the treatment is not necessary. Therefore, it's kicking you into overdrive as opposed to making up for a deficiency. 7 stars says you probably screwed your health with bad eating and alcohol and have low as a fuck test.
They probably have. I imagine his health is like shot. You can see that his nose is.
Actually, I don't.
Oh, you don't? That's weird.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Anyone believe that? Now, I actually showed you guys my blood test results. I've been actually very transparent with my health. And you guys know I should not be smoking and taking 15 milligrams of nicotine and smoking at the same time. Anyway.
I don't, but that's okay. I expected
but I can
to
have more
a bunch
coffee.
Of negative physical outcomes. And the worst I ended up having was, which was really bad, was a vitamin B12 deficiency. And it's hard to determine where exactly that came from. That could have come from a lot of things. My diet following the arrest was really bad because I was really depressed, so I wasn't eating.
What? Your diet leading up to the arrest was bad. Dude, you're withering away. You were like dying. Because why would you need to eat? You do so much blow. Like, you're never starved. You're never hungry. You're just riding that high, chasing the dragon. I think chasing the dragon is when you do heroin. But whatever.
It could have come from that. It could have some of the chemicals like coke and ketamine with prolonged use can have an impact on B12 absorption and stuff like that. So it could have been that too. I don't know. It's impossible to know for sure what the cause was, but I certainly had.
I think I know what the cause
behaviors that contributed to that, right? And it happened.
Probably the blood.
That was the nastiest thing. Everything else, if you ignoring the B12 deficiency, every other number on all of my blood tests for the past several years has been improving. And now every single thing is in the normal zone, which is weird. But even when I was actively using, the only thing I had outside of normal was my triglycerides were slightly elevated. I think that the high is like 150.
What? Wait a second. You had time to see the doctor, to know what your blood test was like, to know what your blood was like while you were like constantly using blow? Barely had time to stream. And when you were streaming, you take breaks to go to the bathroom to get more blow. And then you would lie about it. Now you are here doing a 37-minute TED Talk about blow.
And mine was like it was 160 right before I got arrested. And now it's down in the normal range. But I'd been working on my triglycerides for a little while because it was up near 200 a couple years back when I was 200 pounds. So like, but
this is impressive. Like his ability to talk about pretty much nothing is impressive.
I expected to have kidney or liver issues or whatever due to the prolonged alcohol
heart
and drug
issues.
use, and fortunately I didn't. I don't know. It's not like I did anything special to do it. Like I said, I chalk it up to literally to good fortune. That's about it.
Good fortune.
B12 deficiency from lack of red meat.
Luck, huh?
Could be. Like I said, the post arrest.
It is some amazing luck, right? That Aaron Imholte, who was the rat of the whole thing, is the one that ended up getting arrested and doing some time. While this guy does not. Kind of funny how that works, right? Hey, rats end up in ditches. Well, I mean, they live in ditches. Anyway.
I was in a really bad mental place for a long time.
Ditches.
There's a whole lot going on.
Ditches.
It was very tumultuous, and there's nothing you could do to make it happen faster. And for me, that's the hardest part. Like, I need to know what's going on, where I'm going. I need things to move in that direction.
Yeah.
So for me, it was devastating to not know what was happening next, not have a schedule, or like, not a schedule, but like an expectation, and to just be waiting on everybody else in the world. They tell you, you need to do this and this and this. You go, all right, you go get that done in less than a week or whatever. And then they're like,
and you got into that situation because of the party favors you were using in your house where your kids live and sleep and eat.
Like, you're like, okay, well, what next? Can we move this on? And they're like, well, eventually.
I know you wanted the obvious joke about Cheerios.
How about like now?
Cheerios.
Like, how about we move it on now? And they just make you wait. So that was a really, really tough time for me. And I spent a lot of days like not eating and just kind of sulking. It was really difficult. I'm glad those days are pretty much behind me. So it's a blessing your kidneys weren't severely damaged. Yes, it is. I think it also, a lot of this, I think, how do I word this? I think there's a misconception because a lot of my story is hyperbolized, fantasized, or romanticized in some way or another.
Who's romanticizing your story? What? I mean, Kino Casino probably exaggerates a lot of stuff. But, I mean, they're working with the material that they had, which was the police report, the cops going into your house, kids going somewhere, CPS is involved. You had a wild time in that house. Sounded like a party. And don't get it twisted, guys. There's nothing wrong with adults having parties every once in a while. But you shouldn't have them at your house when your kids are home. Most definitely. I say don't even have them at your house.
The reality was I did a lot of substances that I should not do. I did a lot of them. All right, I'm not trying to undersell that. But I did a lot. But there's a whole lot of people who do a whole lot more.
Well, yeah, that's true, Rekieta, but you also did a lot. And I don't care how much you did. See, like, people might get it twisted and might disagree. I don't care that Rekieta did blow. I cared that he did blow when his kids were around. I care about that. You know? And rightly so. I think you guys would be as well. If you're going to have fun, that kind of fun, the kids should not be around at all. And the swinging stuff and all that crap, I'm not too worried about that. Sure. It's probably a very bad thing if the kids were to see mommy and daddy having these other people in the house doing these weird things. Because they were probably loud, coked out, partying, loud in the bedroom. The kids could hear that crap.
And for a whole lot longer. But I think because of the shock of it, the amount I was arrested with and all that stuff, people had this idea that a lot means like a lot. And it's not that.
It doesn't make what you did great.
Many people
or even better.
Way more than me.
Even
with
good.
Frequency. And that's okay. Like, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean my actions were good or justified. They're not. But like also, people build up a mental picture of what things were like. And let me just tell you.
Dude, you had like a safe full of party favors. You had a bunch of you had a bunch of stuff there that shouldn't be there in your family home. Guys, I don't know what you do, and I don't need to know. I don't want to know. But don't keep your supply in your home.
Pretty frankly, up until the day of the arrest, my life looked normal to basically everybody.
Uh-huh. No, it did not.
It wasn't.
It did not. What? You had your church, your fellow church people were like concerned about you because of the way you were behaving. They were concerned. So no, you weren't acting normal. What?
Normal. But it looked normal.
No.
And when people saw the situation, they read these reports, and things are like passed through a game of telephone. They came to conclusions about what must be happening and what must have been going on, because they didn't live in that world. But if you came into our house pretty much any day, we would see is a family of people getting the kids, to school. Well, one of them went to school full time. The others are still homeschooled. So getting the one to school.
He's still freaking lying about this crap. What? No.
Getting the others, homeschooling ramped up, making food, running errands, doing all the shit that you just normally do. And people get this idea that this is crazy, like drug-fueled orgy 24 hours a day. It's like, no.
What do you mean that wasn't happening? You had party favors there. You had a lot of blow there. You had that woman living with you, April. She's not your wife. We know what you were doing. Everyone knows what you were doing. This guy. But everything was completely normal. It was normal. This is normal. I guess we're operating in Crazyville. We're the crazy ones. Nick Rekieta is the sane one. Is it normal to have a bunch of blow at your house? To be having swinger parties? having some sort of weird. I what do you call that? Where couples are mingling and just intertwined and um, dude, like that's not normal, right? Is that normal? I don't think that's normal. Maybe I'm the crazy one.
In fact, no, that's not what was going on, and that's why no one knew. That's why it was such a surprise to a lot of people. I mean, people who looked at me could tell something was amiss. Like obviously, I go back. I looked at some of those streams and I was like, "Oh my god, I look like Ariana Grande." Mickle Wells says everyone knew. No. Like I'm talking about the people in our lives.
They knew as well. That's why you were like, why are they so concerned? You know, a bunch of Karens, right? You called them Karens, right? The women at your church that are concerned about you and your kids and your family because of the things they saw.
If you watch me every night, yeah, you would see like what was going on with me. But you know, with drug use, you always have an explanation for everything that's happening. So it's
yeah, it's called an excuse.
You know, like I said, I'm not saying that I didn't do a lot of things, but I think that there's a conception out there that people have that I did a lot more, which is crazy to me because I'm like, who has time? Who has time to do all these drugs? I don't know how I did all the stuff that I did. But yeah, so the health thing is kind of a surprise, kind of not. But it on one hand, though, it really does make you kind of question the narrative around some of the stated health impacts that are out there. And if you look at it, something like reefer madness and the propaganda around marijuana both ways, you know, some people think marijuana, either CBD or THC or a combination thereof.
Is he about to compare marijuana and the marijuana scare to blow? Is he about to do that? Is he about to try to like normalize like hard drugs? No one gives a shit if you're smoking weed. Maybe some people do. But those people, I mean, they probably still think weed is like the worst thing ever. Okay? There's no convincing them. Let's see if he's about to make this comparison.
Is like this miracle cure for everything, and other people think it will like destroy your brain and body and stuff like that. And the truth is somewhere in the middle, which is it pretty much won't do much of anything to you either way, outside of when you get standard deviations away from normal use, right? Like the further away you go from normal use, the bigger impact it's going to have. But you have to go pretty far. Mickle Wells says, I think you did more than enough, actually. How much did I do? You know a lot about it. Go ahead.
You did enough to ruin your family.
Tell me. See, it's amazing because like you don't know. You don't have any idea. I actually do have an idea. I was there. You know, I know the test results. I know all that stuff.
Yeah, like your daughter testing positive.
But you don't know. Like, so your point is that I did more than enough because enough is zero, that's a reasonable position to take. But
that's not even it for me. Maybe for some of you guys it is. Like, if Rekieta was occasionally using away from the home or whatever, sure, we would talk about it. It would be gossip. You'd be mocked for it, probably. But man, you became a massive wreck. And it was like, dude, what is this guy doing? He's literally going to the bathroom and using during stream. He'll come back and have the powder on his nose.
But like you don't have any idea in the factual aspect of it. So in some level, you have to fill in those gaps on your own, which you can only do in a couple ways. One way is you've experienced it, so you try and make an analog in your life to what you saw in me, or you haven't experienced it all, and you just have to go based off of like third-hand stories or whatever that other people have, and kind of like ham fist those in and try and make a mosaic of what my life must have looked like. And I can guarantee you'd be incorrect. Did I get cravings?
No, I think
Or
it would be
did
very
you,
correct.
and how did you fight them? I didn't really get any cravings at all. There are elements of them that I miss, because they trick your brain into making everything feel great.
Yeah, it's called dopamine.
So like that's you kind of go, man, that was kind of fun or whatever. Like that was enjoyable, because of course it is. That's the whole point. But that said, I haven't gone, man, I really want some. Like I've never wanted any Coke or alcohol. Like
Because you started using Galaxy gas.
The closest I've come to that is just like after a stressful day, wanting to sit down with a glass of whiskey. Like not to get drunk or anything, just wanting to sit down with a glass of whiskey. And you go, fuck, I can't do that. Okay. All right. And then you get over it really quickly. Or well, I do. Not everybody has the same experience like that. A lot of people.
You think he's
really
still
struggle.
boozing? He's still
I didn't
boozing.
struggle with that side of it. I struggled with the other, with other things that were associated with my time, we'll say, to put it as politely and discreetly as possible. You had seizures if you didn't drink, it was bad. Yeah, like, and when I talked to my drug counselor and my doctor, and they're like, how are your symptoms? I'm like, I don't have any. Like, it's weird. I expected more. I think the biggest thing was I had.
So even you did a whole lot. You were probably expecting the withdrawals to be a lot more severe.
Disruptions in my already screwed up sleep schedule. And there was a little time where it was really hard to fall asleep. But other than that, like I didn't have the major things that you get. You get a lot of shakiness, and you can have seizures, and you can get very feverish and stuff. I didn't really run into that. And again, there's nothing special about me. I didn't do anything special. I count it mostly as just I was fortunate. So you miss and crave cigarettes more than you ever crave or miss other drugs and alcohol. Yeah, and nicotine is like a profoundly addictive substance. And it's funny because nicotine. Here's how you know how addictive nicotine is. All right. This should tell you everything.
Are we talking about nicotine? No one gives a shit if you smoke and take like Zins or Freeze or what, Frey. Like how do you pronounce this? Is it Frey? Or is it free? Or is it no one gives a shit? No one gives a shit
about it, at least in Minnesota. So as part of my probation, and anytime you have a felony substance related crime, your probation period includes a term that says you will not own or possess or use any mood altering substances without a prescription, including alcohol. Right. So that's why I can't use alcohol, is because it's a mood altering substance.
Does that even include nicotine? What? There's no way. People on probation can smoke a cigarette.
Well, there are tons of mood altering substances that are perfectly acceptable to use, like caffeine, for example, which is obviously a mood altering substance. You can tell a caffeine addict because they can't wake up in the morning and do their day without having coffee, or they're insufferable to be around.
Oh man, you can already so the mind of Rekieta. What do you mean I can't use these other things? I could drink coffee. I could drink a Coke, a Pepsi, a Mountain Dew. I could smoke cigarettes. What do you mean I can't drink alcohol? Oh man.
So you can't. You can have caffeine. That's fine. That's how you know caffeine is addictive. Same with sugar.
Oh my God.
Sugar is very much a mood dysregulator.
Okay.
In multiple ways.
Yeah, sure. Fine. Fine.
Sugar is perfectly acceptable, but people can't get away from sugar. They can't get away from caffeine. And the other thing that you can have, even though it's, nicotine is technically a mood altering substance in the same way.
Okay.
But nicotine is allowed completely. So it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't
Because, okay, hold on. Yeah, sure, sugar's bad for us guys. It's very bad, as you guys know. But they're saying when you're on probation, you cannot be using drugs. No boozing, no drugs. And by drugs, they mean the weed, the coke, the heroin, the meth, the fentanyl, all that shit. They don't give a shit if you're going to have some coffee. They don't give a shit if you eat a cake or smoke some cigarettes, because that stuff isn't going to affect you the same way that those other drugs will. Okay? All right.
To me, like that, whatever. But that's how you know something is truly fucking addictive. The 7 star says, I don't even miss Nick vapes. I've tried to get hooked on nicotine vapes for a while, and it never ends up working out. Like, I enjoy them. Like, I enjoy the taste.
All right. If you didn't already know that Nick Rekieta is a little bit a tard on the short bus here, he purposefully tried to get addicted to nicotine on purpose. Wait a second. I think it did the same thing. There may or may not be a stream where for Super Chat I started smoking cigarettes. No. No, but like, seriously. I could say those vape pens, like, they've never done anything for me. All right. And I like to smoke cigars and stuff like that. Like, those things seem like a joke.
Taste or whatever. I don't get I don't get like a big reaction from them. I don't feel anything. I noticed that the stimulant effect in them is very, very mild. I know, like, if I'm tired and I'm driving somewhere and I have a nicotine vape, I'll stay awake pretty much indefinitely. So,
Okay.
that, like, I know that it does something, but it's not perceivable to me. So,
you're
just weak, Nick, a loser.
Just said it
You're
was
on your way
though.
to becoming a super villain with a life of villainy, super science, and world domination. Now a man seeking redemption and recovery. Sick. Yeah. I mean, I guess.
But isn't part of redemption is like acknowledging that you really messed up? And I'm getting a mixed message here from Rekieta.
I guess. There's always an issue when your morality conflicts with the prevailing morality. And like, I don't have a moral issue with drugs. I really think that criminal.
You also don't have a moral issue with sharing your wife, which is a bit strange to me.
Them is in a lot of ways. I think it's evil. And I didn't even do drugs till I was 40. So I've had this position for a very long time, though. I think we should be in charge of what we put into our bodies. I don't understand why the government thinks that we can't make an educated decision on what
libertarians would agree.
But hey, they do, though. Like, that's the reality. Yeah. And
I'll say this. I don't care what he puts in his body. It's not about that. It's about that you did it at home with the kids around. And apparently one of the kids somehow got in the mix of that stuff because they tested positive.
When your moral opposition to something doesn't exist, but society's does, like, what do? You either have to advocate for change, or you have to move away, or you have to abstain. That's how it goes. Soviet Skunk says, have you been around real drug users? Nick is pretty mellow. Yeah, again, I think a lot of it was hyped, so to speak. And it's because a big part of that is my fault. A big part of that is my fault because my behavior. So I've talked about this in different contexts, but when you watch a streamer, you're only watching you have a peep into a porthole of a submarine or a ship or whatever.
Okay.
You can see what you see through the lens of the show, and then any very, small.
He is so wordy. He does kind of actually put me to sleep. I will say that.
other things that may come out, live appearances, social
Uh-huh.
media, etc.
Uh-huh.
But you have a limited view of what's going on.
Okay.
That works in a couple different ways, but in the ways of something like drug use or alcohol use, um, it does create a different impression because if you see someone and they're always high when you see them, for example, you'll assume that they're always high, and that's not like. I mean, I guess for
But that may
someone
not
out
be
there, that might be
true.
true. But that gives you a false impression of like the rest of the life that's going on.
Well, if you stream like 24/7 and you're high during those streams, it's fair to say that you're high all the time.
And I did that. Like there was a point where I was high on almost every show. And so people saw.
Right. Kind of like how my audience notices I drink a lot on just about every show, and I stream like 3 times, maybe 4 times a week. 5 times if you include the Easy Mart streams that I do. And what am I doing? Well, there are a lot of drinks. I would say not as much as there used to be, but still, there are a lot of drinks involved. So, when my chat says, hey, you might be an alcoholic, or you might want to slow down, or voice concerned, I understand. I get that. I don't rage at them. They're right. They're right.
That, and they saw my behavior like becoming more erratic and things kind of collapsing. So of course, so that creates an impression that something is going on, that's constant.
Yeah,
the hard thing to remember is that while this isn't, I've said before, like you can't put on a mask for entire live streams. I can't. Eventually it'll slip, etc.
What mask? You had no mask. It was so obvious that you were using. Like, what? What mask?
And so it's easier to try and have as little like masking as possible. But it is still a show. And it's not necessarily performative, but you do a lot of things because of the show. Like I primarily drank on the show and not so much outside of it, unless I was at an event or something like that where everybody's drinking, there's an open bar charity or something. But most of my drinking was on the show. And so the reason I did was because it was part of the show, like from the jump. But the premise of the channel at first was to read stupid lawsuit and drink whiskey while making fun of it. So whiskey was a part of the show.
But like, here's the thing, Rekieta, you knew all about these like very expensive brands and bottles of whiskey, whatever, and you drank it as if like you were very used to it. So no. Don't give me that BS that you only started drinking because of streaming. No, man, you were already very used to it, very good at being able to, I mean, hey, you're still an amateur when the whiskey burn gets you. The whiskey burn gets me. I can't just down a bottle of Jack. Okay? All right? I was more of a beer guy anyway, But yeah, so don't give me that BS. All right? No, none of us are taking that. None of us are buying that crap.
In and of itself. For me.
Yeah.
That said, and I enjoy whiskey, but it wasn't part of life as much as it probably seemed to be. And the same thing, with in a different way with the drug use, like as things were collapsing and you're trying to hold on to like various parts of what's going on. One of the big ones is your employment. And frankly, there are a lot of times where I felt like demotivated or sad or apprehensive or anxious about doing a show. And so it's like, oh, I'll do a little bit of this and that'll help. And it did. It didn't also.
So now the streams are the reason why I did blow.
But in the present, it felt to me like it was helping because it would
help. He did it for us. He did it for the chat.
The anxiety.
He did it for the audience.
The doubt or whatever that was preventing you from doing the thing you were going to do or needed to do or whatever. It helped you get through the task. But I wasn't performing the task well. under those circumstances. But that led to like because of the show, or not because of the show, but in relation to the show, a more consistent experience.
By the way, I want to talk about
that
this Andrew
going
Wilson
on.
guy.
So, like I said, I'm responsible for all of the perception, but there are other factors that contribute to how it is, and that's one of them. Is the kind of the porthole theory of parasocialism. I think is maybe the best way to put that. The 7-star.
Except this isn't a porthole theory. For you, would be applicable would be a freaking, like, I don't know, a massive like dining room window, or more like, kind of like that, a giant massive window into your house, into your life.
I am absolutely. So we did this.
Just a windshield.
I think you're joking, but
use a.
I'm not. No. It's not the audience's fault at all. To be very clear, it's not that. That's not the issue. It's how I set it up. It's the premises that I set, the routines that I set. It's all on me. But it's how I approached and framed the show, and then a refusal to let that go or change.
He has social anxiety, guys. He gets nervous to do a stream, so he has to use blow and drink. To be completely honest with you guys, that's why a lot of people do start using drugs and substances in social situations. They feel like it helps them be more social, to socialize. Well, let me examine the social situations. Part of the reason why I don't hang out with the neighbors as often as I do is because usually they're boozing, drinking beer. And it's kind of boring to be around them and not drink beer.
Right? Like, that's not anyone else's fault. Success in the 80s says, wouldn't being fat and using Coke make your heart explode? I have no idea how these things work. So Coke does two things. It increases blood pressure due to vasoconstriction. So there's that. If you combine Coke with certain other things, you can end up with a massive decrease in blood pressure. Very, like Coke and Viagra. Not great. And that can be very dangerous.
Speaking from experience, Rekieta he needs Viagra to work his penis. Apparently his penis does not work. That's sad.
Dangerous. The main danger of cocaine, you can overdose on it. It takes a lot to do so. The main danger is that cocaine takes away the negative side effects of alcohol. And so you drink a lot. You drink a shitload of alcohol. You don't feel the effects the same way. So like you get the euphoria and like the social lubrication, those things, but you don't have the as much brain fog, you don't have the nausea, you don't have the headaches. And so that's a big risk. And that's where a lot of people run into trouble, is they drink too much while on cocaine. The other one is dehydration. With any stimulant, you run into dehydration issues. Soviet says, come on, sometimes you got to add some Viagra in. Horrible for the heart. I'll say it one time.
No.
Mixing Molly, Coke, and Viagra.
No. Molly, Coke, and Viagra? Okay, dude, you're asking to die. No, what? He says the Viagra was only once. Okay, bullshit.
Viagra is a really, really, really bad idea, and it might kill you. But you won't mind. There's no way else to say it. There is.
Once again, let me say, this is one subject that I will trust Rekieta on 100%.
That is something that you cannot experience. You can't Anywhere else, it is. Don't do it. You literally can die. But sometimes you make bad decisions. Used to snort a ball while drinking a 40 ounce of Canadian Club. Yeah. Yeah, you could drink a
I
lot.
figured that would be his audience anymore. A bunch of like frequent drug users and stuff. I mean, that's his party. You know, that's his audience now. All right.
A lot. I can drink, or can, probably not now. I could at the time drink, 3/4 of like a 750 of whiskey. If I had cocaine to go with it, like you just keep drinking and keep drinking
Damn.
and keep drinking. It's crazy. It's crazy. You got your PhD in drugs like me. Thanks, Sunken Cathedral. Yeah.
There's a reason why that
please don't mistake
cathedral
like
is sunken.
my mirth and my laughter as endorsement. It's really not. Like, look, I have really bad memories and I have some really fond memories.
Okay.
Some really crazy shit that happened that had I had there were times that I had a really good time. And so like when I remember those, like I smile about it because it's like that was really funny or that was really hot or that was really insane. Like you can't do anything about it. Like it happened. And so like I don't, no matter what the circumstances are, I don't believe in throwing away those experiences or trying to lock away memories. I think memories are the profit of experience.
He's kind of it sounds like he's a little nostalgic for those memories. I was going to save this to the end. Guys, I don't think Rekieta learned his lesson at all. I think Rekieta is going to start using again if he hasn't been using already. I think he's going to go right back into what he was doing if he isn't already.
Good or bad. And so like I try and like I hold on to those things. I know for some people like they need to get rid of them and I understand that. But for me, like I hold value in those things. Oh, you want to hear my dealer story? Okay.
Wait, you didn't already tell your dealer story? I thought you already did.
So this was emotional support Chad's name triggered me. There were several times where it was hard to get a hold of the dealer or whatever, and since he was far away, it was like you try and it's 2-hour drive, man. Like, so you don't want to like spend too much time. You don't want to waste a bunch of time. You want to, you want to, if you're like, typically if I was in town, if I was going to the Twin Cities and I didn't have the kids, right? Like, cause you don't do that. Like that's a mess. But if I didn't have the kids and I was in the Twin Cities, I would want to stop by and grab something because I don't want to take an extra trip.
Okay.
Right. But, like you try and get in contact with them.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to get in contact with. And there's this period of time where he was never home. And I had to meet him somewhere. It was he comes out and gets in my car. And just like, hey man, like this isn't your house. He's like, yeah, I know. You want to drive over there? It's like, okay. So we're driving and talking. He's like,
God damn, this is boring.
He's like, fuck. These bitches. I am just a fucking emotional support cock these days. It's like, oh, okay. I get it. I see what's going on. But
that's the story. Your dealer said that he's just an emotional support cock. I mean, there's a better way to deliver that. You didn't need this whole thing about how you try to meet him, didn't meet him, you had to meet him in a certain place or whatever. It's just a one-liner. That would have been funny just as a one-liner. What? We get it. Yeah. Chicks get drugs for free because they suck the dick.
Yeah. So emotional support Chad made me think of that. And then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I bet like, if you were a drug dealer, like people, women in particular would be coming up to you all the time. Well, hey, I don't have enough to pay for whatever. You could just fucking imagine the disaster that becomes if you give into that. Like I don't know. I don't know about his like experience.
Is that the thought you had? I thought you were gonna say what could have made it funny if you said, I don't know, maybe I should. Do I get a discount if you become my emotional support cock? If I suck you off, do I get a discount?
Experience or anything, but just like that was really fucking funny.
Okay, well,
and ran into that issue pretty.
All right, we're this is where the clip ends. All right, so I'm gonna say that Rekieta hasn't learned his lesson, and I think he might still be on probation. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't really been following up with him that closely, but so if he's not using already, he's gonna be using again. That's gonna happen. So that's what I got from his TED Talk. He's very knowledgeable about drugs because he spent a lot of time with them. He thinks it wasn't very noticeable, except for if you watch the streams. So it's kind of interesting how like people around him were the ones that came out to talk to the I think with the priests and then to the police and all that, to the CPS people. Anyway, there's people who came out who knew Rekieta personally. They came forward with some information because they were concerned about him, because they saw things. Yeah. And as I close this, if you guys have struggled with substances, what are your thoughts about this? You know? Does it sound like Rekieta is someone that has learned his lesson and will stop using, or does it seem like he's just going to slip back into it? With that said, here's my occasional Rekieta segment. Y'all take it easy and have a good one.